The Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living and the ministry of Dr. Moira Foxe presents Living Ideas.
So here we are on this great good day, feeling very affluent. I know I am, and I'm inviting you to feel affluent too. But of course, affluence in spiritual terms doesn't quite mean what it means in the terms of the world. And so today we're going to get on the inside of what that is so that we can participate in it and consequently live a more fulfilling and satisfying and full life. Now, the word affluence, when we think of it in the marketplace, we're thinking of, gobs of money and stuff and things and all of that. But spiritually speaking, we go back to the true meaning of affluence, which is free flow or flow forth. The same as currency. Currency is not the same in the spiritual realm as it is in the world's realm. Currency means to flow. To flow. That's what it means. That's what it always meant. It's not equated with money. And so today we're looking at what this true affluence is. And spiritually speaking, affluence is consciously being in the flow of divine supply. Affluence is consciously being in the flow of divine supply. And when we are, our every need is taken care of and all is well. So again, as you know, this month we're looking at the flow of life, the flow of things, and being in the flow. And it's only when we're out of the flow that things go awry. And so we're getting more on the inside of that today so that we can understand sufficiently and have the awareness of what true abundance is all about so that we can live from that experience and express that and demonstrate that in our lives and consequently have an upliftment in our own lives and uplift everything else around and about us too. So, the key element in being able to live in the consciousness of being in that supply of divine providence is to first and foremostly understand what divine providence is and our relationship with it. And so how we catch that consciousness is first and foremostly to have a deep faith and trust in the creative process of life, in that which is greater than we are, in this infinite beingness in life that is life and that you and I are part of, and understanding that the only way that you and I can be in the full flow of infinite substance, infinite divine providence, infinite divine supply, is through having a relationship with, of course, life itself in capitals, which is divine providence. And that relationship cannot be established until we have faith in and trust the creative process of life, which is divine providence and its supply. And then when we establish that faith and we establish that trust, we fall more deeply into loving and praising and blessing and being in gratitude to that infinite supply. That's how it works. I first and foremostly have to get in touch with the greatness in life and living, with the moreness in life and living, with that which is greater than all of us and everything is, the creator of it all, the sustainer of it all, the supplier of it all. And then trust it, have faith in it. And as I trust and have faith in it, I will fall more in love with it. And then my only intention will be to praise it and bless it and thank it and be in that sense of celebration in it, not to it, in it. But of course, we have this understanding that this thing called God, nameless, the namelessness, the unknown, the great unknown, and the great nameless, this thing most of life and living calls God, is that which we have had a casual relationship with, if any, throughout our lives, and something we throw a few prayers at every now and again when we're thankful for something, or we throw begging prayers at when we need something, or we are in desperation with when our backs are up against the wall. Now that's mostly what people experience as a relationship with their God. And none of that exists, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the key to living an affluent life today is understanding, appreciating, coming into conscious awareness that I am in the flow of divine providence, and divine providence is in the flow of me. That's the connection we are getting, which brings a whole new meaning to the way we've been approaching our spiritual life and living, our relationship with our source, and the way we are in relationship with our source. And so, you see, this is one relationship you're never going to get away from, like it or not. You're always in it, and it's always going to be in you, one way or another, consciously or unconsciously, embraced or not. That's the truth of it. And so since that's the situation, why wouldn't we fling ourselves into it and avail of all of its givingness? Because that's what the nature of divine providence is, to give itself out, to give itself away. But the way it gives itself out and gives itself away is through you and through me. Through, not to, through you and through me. Oh, Jesus had it right when he said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you." Now today we're going to get a deeper awareness of that. What does that actually mean? It means the kingdom of heaven is the divine flow of the power and the presence of infinite supply within you. That's the kingdom. The power and the presence of the flow of infinite supply within you. Seek that first, and everything else is going to be added onto you. Get into the flow of that, and everything else is going to be added onto you. It is no small reason why Solomon said a long time ago, "With all you're getting, get understanding." That was the most important thing for Solomon. He knew a thing or two, that man. In all you're getting, get understanding. And indeed, the great poet who said, "Oh, late and spending, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers." And he's talking about the things of the marketplace in that. Little, he says, we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away as sordid boon. In other words, we've sold our inheritance for a mess of pottage. You see, Emerson says we have to unlearn the wisdom of the world, because the wisdom of the world, he says, is that which sees what is apparent and not what is true. And we must unlearn that wisdom, because the world will see things differently to the way spirit sees things. The world will say, "Oh, so you want to get to the top. You want to reach, the top of the ladder. You want success. You want accomplishment. You want power. You want fame. You want grandeur. You want all of these things, You want to hit the jackpot and so on. Well, it all awaits you out there. Get out into the marketplace and play. It's all there for you. It's all before you." Wrong. It's all within you. It's all within you. It's an inside-out thing. It's not an outside-in thing. As I was saying this morning, there's not one of us in this room today that doesn't have some experience of a multi-level marketing thing. Get rich quickly. Oh, only a few hours a week, that's all, and you'll be amazed at how much money you can make in a month. Well, when I was a first-year teacher, I tried that for 3 months, and let me tell you, my outcome to that was, what a whole load of codswallop and baloney. I'd have to give my life up to this in order to make any kind of a decent living. I wouldn't have time for anything else, and then somebody else would be getting rich on my hard work. I don't think so, thank you very much, and that was the end of that for me. Multi-level marketing, been there, done that, bought the teacher, and that was all I had to do. Not that Amway is not a wonderful product, it certainly is. I saw what it did to that penny when we put it into its detergent. It came out shining, spanking clean, and I was mesmerized by it. However, the world is going to say to us, there are so many quick things happening out there. Jump on board, make somebody rich by buying all of that stuff, and see how disappointed you'll be in no time at all. Because, you know, we want everything to happen, and we want it to happen fast. We want to lose the weight fast. We want to take the class and get through it fast. We want to, whatever it is, really quickly, really quickly, really quickly. It's not going to happen that way. It's a process, it's a process, it's a process. For you and for me to get back into the flow of life in a conscious, aware way, it's going to take a process. It will take commitment. It will take dedication. It will take focus. It will take attention. It will take your time, it will take your effort, it will take your energy. But my goodness, that's the way to hit the jackpot. That's the way to come into your own, and to do it in a way that you don't have to walk on anybody to get to the top of the heap. And you don't have to play the game of the world out there that tells you it's all about me. I'm first and you can be anywhere, whatever, behind me, but it's me first. And you don't have to get into the terrible, stressful energy of competition and so on, and be part of the rat race where everybody in it is reaching for the same apple on the same tree at one time. There's only one apple on the tree. The problem with that competitive element out in the world and getting to the top of the heap is this. It really brings about a sense that most of us are failures because very few get the top of the ladder. And very few hit the jackpot. That means all the rest of us are not a success, all the rest of us are less than, and all the rest of us are failures. And people have that sense about themselves that are creating within them a sense of inadequacy and insecurity and so on. I mean, not everybody wants to get to the top of the heap. Not everybody wants to hit the jackpot. Not everybody wants to reach the top of the ladder. Some people are very happy to be contented doing what they're doing, where they're doing it, in the one job for all of their lives, for God's sakes, even though people are saying, God, you think he would have moved on by now. You think he could have done more, he has such talent, and there he is still pegging away at that job. You know, it's not going to get him anywhere. Or people who are committed to their creative outlet and letting that creativity flow through them, however they choose to do that, following their bliss, and everybody else is saying, what an awful waste of time. Wait till he's 90, that's not going to serve him well when he's 90. Let's see then how he'll be following his bliss and so on. I mean, we're so silly in a way. We're so silly that we can only see what's there in front of us and not what is thundering within us, endeavoring to catch our attention so that it can be expressed through us. Now, not only have we to get the sense of seek ye first the kingdom, understanding it is this absolute amazing river of divine providence, this river of grace that is within us, that is filled with all the good that we could ever imagine, if we could just get in the flow of it and flow with it and not get sidetracked and be jumped up on the banks of the shadowy nooks and crannies that prevent us from being in the flow. You know, and it's not that there aren't people out there that are hungry in the world. Of course there are. There are people that we know maybe or know of that are hungry in life and living. And ours is the privilege of helping out and meeting a need wherever we find it, whenever we find it, as best we can. But we have to remember that in the meeting of that need, we're not into giving out fishes. We're into, in Science of Mind's teaching, we're into helping ourselves and other people to fish, so that they can be self-productive, self-producing, self-contained, and self-providing. That's what we're into. Throwing the odd fish here and there is not going to do any good at all. It's our willingness to be open to learn how to take care of ourselves, not because we have to, but because we want to, and because we know we can. We can. And that's what this teaching is about, turning us back into the sovereign beings that we are, the self-producing sovereign beings that we are. And so we take that other great awareness that we hear all of the time, practice the presence of God. Now, what in heaven's name does practicing the presence of God mean? Does that mean showing up for my spiritual practices every time I can fit them in here and there and yon, when I can fit them in here, there, and yon? Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with spiritual practices at all. Practicing the presence of God is getting on the inside into the consciousness of that the presence of God is the very action and power of infinite divine supply that's expressing itself through me. That's what practicing the presence of God is all about. It's not down on my knees rattling off beads or oming or belling or whistling or doing whatever all of that stuff is, and I love to do it myself. I love it. It's lovely. It's yummy. But that's not what practicing the presence of God is. It's being in the flow consciously of the power and the presence of infinite supply, knowing that I am its very action, its very flow, its very movement, and that all of it takes place through me, never coming to me. Always taking place through me. I am the action. I am the flow of divine opulence and abundance and supply. I am one with it. It is the only life there is. If it is the only life there is, and that only life is omnipresent, it has to be where I am, whether I know it or not. So what does that mean? It means, oh, my dear ones, you have to give up everything you thought you were. You are not anything like you thought you were. You are not who you think you are. You really are not. And thank God you're not who you think you are. And thank God I'm not who I think I am. I am so much more than that, as you are so much more than that. So today the invitation, and this week is the invitation, to think differently about ourselves, to catch the consciousness of the power and the dynamic cosmic flow that is always endeavoring to express itself through us. It's always bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up. Why do you think it is written in Scripture? My cup runneth over. My cup runneth over, said the psalmist. My cup runneth over with all of this energy, this power, this presence that is within me, that all the time wants to be itself by means of me in all of its opulence and fullness and plenty. Now remember that divine providence knows nothing of lack or limitation, and it does not ever wish, desire, or is it ever its will for you to express poverty in any shape, way, make, or form. Poverty is not a blessing. Poverty is not a blessing. I can say it. I was married to holy poverty for 7 years. What a load of waste was that. Now I'm endeavoring to be married to the divine infinite beingness that flows within me and wants to express through me. My cup runneth over. The problem is, every single one of us, you see, is a cup, is a vessel of receptivity. But you and I have to step up to the plate and claim that and know that and own that and be that in the way we think, in the way we feel, in the way we do. That's what we have to do. Most of us are holding up our cup upside down. And we're wondering why we're in lack and limitation. And what causes us to hold our cup upside down? Feelings of lack and limitation. Feelings of insecurity. Feelings of, oh, the world is not on my side. The world is out to get me, whatever it is, and you know it for yourself. Whatever it is for you is personal to you. I hold my cup upside down, and all it ever gets is a little bit damp inside, and that's it. That's it. But if I turn it around and I hold it up and I stand there open and receptive to receive the good that is there for me and I'm supposed to have, then my life becomes the beautiful thing that my life is meant to be. A vessel that receives and then returns and shares the cup. Shares the cup. You and I are here this week to get the invitation, and the invitation is, let us make our whole life's work the growing and the developing of the consciousness of being in the flow of divine supply, knowing that the presence and the power of the creative force in the universe, the sustainer of the universe, the maintainer of the universe, and the lover of our souls is the very thing that lives, moves, and has its being within you and within me, and that's all that's living in you and me. The power and the presence of that divine providence. Remember the words, I live, move, and have my being in you. I live, move, and have my being in you, and I live and move and have my being in that which lives, moves, and has its being within me. There's no other way. There's nothing else happening. That's what's happening. A few of us are awake to it. A few of us are conscious of it. Most of us are unconscious to it. That doesn't make it not true. That doesn't make it not true. That's the truth of you. That's the truth of me, and that's what we're here to catch today. That is my life's work, simply to be the best of myself, to know myself, to realize myself as that which is greater than I think I am, know myself to be, and have classed myself as, identify myself as, and so forth. All of that should be over and done with now. When I think about who I am and what I am a vessel held up to the universal cosmic flow of fullness and plenty. And if I say yes to it, then my cup will runneth over. There is no ifs, ands, and buts and doubts about that. Not at all. And then remember, my dear ones, that you have been given the seeds within you of an amazing life force being. And if you nurture them and if you nourish them, that will grow into the tree of life itself and produce great, enormous fruit. And it's yours to partake of that fruit and then to share, because this is a tree that never loses its fruit, and there's always plenty to share. And in our life's work of being in that supply, we have to know that our whole demeanor, our focus and our attitude is on give, not get, give. And when my attitude becomes give, then I will find in my life amazing demonstrations of receiving, and my cup will runneth over, and it will never empty ever again. And there not only be a fullness and a plenty for me and mine, but for everybody and anybody I choose to share with, and I choose to share with whoever, whatever, crosses my path and would drink from that cup. Given willingly, because I know I am part of life's givingness back onto itself, and that's all I am. I am an essential aspect of life's givingness back onto itself, and we have it all crooked, and we have it all ways. Instead of knowing that we are this amazing vessel of fullness and plenty and givingness, we're out there with a begging bowl saying, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. I want, I want, I want, I want, I haven't got, I haven't got, I haven't got, give me. You see? And that's what keeps us in that state of discontentment and in that state of dissonance and insecurity and agitation. And from that, we're going out there to relate to the world, for heaven's sakes, and we wonder why the world doesn't like us. Well, who wants to be agitated? Who wants to be agitated? Now, it's given to you and to me today to catch the consciousness of this awareness of what it is to live an affluent life. A beautiful life, a full life, an amazing life, a magnificent life, a life of blissful celebration. And all it takes is for you and for me to recognize the truth of being, and then to respond as I know myself, to be in the flow of life, as the flow of life, knowing that flow of life is divine providence and opulence itself, to listen to the invitation. Every day I get up, I can hear it in my ears. Listen to the invitation. Come, you blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom that is prepared for you since the beginning of time. Go out into the world and expect to meet your unexpected and your expected good, knowing that as you go out to it, it's coming forward to meet you. Be open and receptive to it. Enjoy it, drink of its fullness, and then share the 12 baskets that are left over every single day of your life. If you and I get up out of the bed saying, come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom that's there for you. Go out into this blessed day, choose the blessing, be the blessing, and receive your expected and unexpected good that's coming forward to you. Go out to meet it, embrace it, and celebrate it all. Can you do that for a week? Yes. I'm knowing we all can do that for a week, and I'm knowing that at the end of this week we will be singing that song of praise, that song of gratitude, that song of joy, that song of love for the Spirit and the power and the presence that lives and moves and has its being. Where? In us, and so it is. You got it by Job.